I was thinking that for the bit. It's like we're getting we're going to try to get shit prepared to record. But Clayton, you're doing like a Mugen thing where it's like when we tell you to do something, it makes you not want to do it.
I don't want to.
Are you comfortable with that?
What do you mean exactly?
Like you are actively resisting doing anything we tell you to do.
If we give you a recommendation of a thing to do, literally like bitch and throw a fit and say, I'm not gonna do that bullshit. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, but why?
There's nothing in the world that can make me do that.
No, but
It's just,
I understand. I get it, but why would I do that?
Because it's Mugen. That's how Mugen
Yeah.
do. And we do a bit at the beginning of every episode.
I don't know if I understand the
That's
motivations of
related to the
Mugen to
show.
do a bit where I turn down your bit.
Okay, well, how about you
I'm
do it?
gonna.
It's
how
not,
about-
I
what
feel
about
like
if I
he's
didn't do
actively
it?
doing the bit right now.
Wait, no, I'm just not doing it. We're not doing it.
Oh my god.
Okay, so that was the bit, I guess.
So that was the bit, I guess.
The bit was so repulsive. I was pressing my button like I still had push to talk when I turned it off.
Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast.
I'm Josh,
I'm Brogan.
and this is How to Otaku, and we're doing it old school,
Old school style. Back on the
virtually
computers.
back again. That's right. For two reasons. First of all, we have a lovely guest joining us today, who we will introduce properly. But secondly, because our couch is gone.
Our couch is
Our
gone.
lovely couch, where
So many memories were made.
the beige couch. We're gonna have a little
A
fucking,
funeral for the couch.
fucking Sarah McLachlan ass
In the
arms
of the angels. Yeah.
for the beige couch.
Oh, this is the clip
Yes,
show.
we are.
Good. I'm glad I got on the easy episode.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the
This
clip
is
show.
the-
Let's roll the clip.
This is the recap episode.
So run all of our
Peter,
favorite
remember
moments
that
with the
time that
couch.
we?
Yeah.
But I witnessed the couch.
Yep. And we were unable to procure a new couch in time because Brogan was busy with all sorts of other shit, and I was abroad, so I literally could not, I was out in the world,
I would love to say that I could one man a couch while Josh was not
Yeah.
around, but
Yeah.
Josh has not been around since the couch has been gone, and since Josh has been back, I've been gone. So
Yeah, and like nobody told me the couch was gone. I just got home.
I did tell
wanted
you
to
the
sit
couch
on the
was
couch.
gone.
I wanted to get home, and I sat on and I was going to sit on the couch, but then I just fell flat on my ass in the bedroom, and I was like, "What do I do?"
Chippy
Where'd
did
the couch
absolutely
go?
nothing to help you.
Yeah,
Chippy
exactly.
just sat there and watched.
Yeah, what a bastard, Chippy.
We're floundering a lot. Hey, Clayton. This is
Hey.
Clayton,
Clayton.
from the Inner Circle.
Yeah, this is Clayton.
Hey.
Exactly.
I used to be
back
on the
from,
show beforehand. I don't know if it's lore accurate anymore, but I just wanted to let you know, the couch incident. I hope y'all take it seriously and you really remember it, because corporate sent me back down to
Oh, fuck.
not reprimand y'all, but to get the show back on track. And taking away the couch was the first step of their plan.
Corporate took the couch. Wait, I thought the couch was fully in budget. I thought we got that cleared like months ago.
No, the couch was way over budget.
Couch was.
Is it because we kind of half-assed the Chippy bit?
It's because we built a shelf and we put manga and anime figures on the shelf, and corporate was like, nah,
We can't afford that.
we can't. The 13th Marseille figure is too much.
There was
Too
a
much.
7 to 8 month window where manga was big and we could advertise it again, but now we're keeping it back on the down low. So you kind of overshot
Yeah.
it a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And are you going to take our shelf next? Because I literally just bought the figure of Marcel and Fallon kissing.
Oh my god, that would do numbers. You're gonna take away the Marcel and Fallon kissing figure?
I think the shelf is staying. I think it's just the couch was what they didn't like. So maybe next.
You're really going to take the Yuri shelf from us?
So no. I think we get to keep the shelf. We're gonna fully transition to a standing show, like how they shoot Weekly Weird Update.
A wedding show?
A standing show. We just stand.
Well, corporate's been watching a lot of. The only way I could say it is Japanese game shows lately. So. A couple of Tasumi mats on the floor,
gonna do Takeshi's
and
challenge.
like a 10 to 15 minute wrestling segment somewhere in the middle of the show, I think is what they really want.
Oh. Can we give them a chapter about a baseball episode?
Yeah.
Baseball's big in Japan.
Yeah.
It is.
Can we compromise on that, like, at all?
I think that goes. I think that one gets the green light.
I feel like the bits early on in the episode here are kind of going long because the topic of our episode is Samurai Champloo, which is it's a show.
Yeah, welcome back to the Shinichiro Watanabe series, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we started bringing back Cowboy Bebop. We finally finished Bebop. You know, crossed that off the list after our half-assed measure in 2022, but now we're basically going to do the rest of his original oeuvre leading up to Lazarus, which is airing right now. I haven't been keeping up with it as much as I should, but it's been pretty good as far as I've seen. But we're on his second completely original series for him.
Yes.
And
Samurai Champloo,
very
much influenced by Bebop. It is like, I mean, obviously it's Shinichiro Watanabe, so he's just got his style. Mm-hmm. And this is the first thing that he did directly after it, where it's very much like, okay, this is kind of maybe not the universe, but definitely the spirit of Cowboy Bebop, but in a different way, in a new flavor.
Yeah. Yeah, and like, I mean, I don't know. I don't see too many like similarities to it apart from just like the way he tends to direct things, right? Yeah. Like, I think that it's, like we said before that like part of what makes Cowboy Bebop interesting is that like it's not a lot of characters explaining things to you. They keep a lot of things to themselves, and they are very interior, and that sort of thing like lets the emotion of any given scene kind of just feel felt rather than over explained. And that follows through with that as well. And like obviously like there's a kind of camaraderie in the team that is a little bit evocative of that of the Bebop crew, though. Like, part of the problem I think is just that like the way the scenarios play out, they don't really get to flesh out a lot of the relationships in the way you would hope.
Right. I mean, and I will say, I love Bebop. I love the crew of Bebop. I love everything about it. It's basically infallible in my mind. And I know that I'll get a million people saying, fucking come up with a unique opinion. But like, Samurai Champloo is very much more a vibes-based show for me, because the vibes are very good, but I do not like the show as much as I like Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, and
the characters are very purposefully and very importantly standoffish and dickheads and just scoundrels. At least Mugen is. Yeah. Fu is a 15-year-old girl doing something incredibly foolhardy and incredibly dangerous because she's got nothing else. It's the only thing she can do. And you've got Jin, who is just stoicism walking.
Yeah. Yeah. I did want to ask Clayton, obviously you don't have to. We don't have to dwell too much on Bebop because this is its own show. But like, what do you have a relationship to Cowboy Bebop going into this, or any of the rest of this guy's work, or Champloo in particular?
So Bebop is a show I really like. It was
Yeah.
very good when I watched it. One of the first anime I think I watched. It wasn't a film.
Mm-hmm.
It's good and all. Great story, great characters, but I think as far as a series to sit and watch with its character ensemble and its main cast, Champloo is way better. Just better
Really?
show.
Interesting.
Not saying it's like the better show technically storytelling wise. I think Bebop has it beat, but Champloo is just the better show in the way that it has a format. You know your three characters. Adventure of the week. Boom, boom, boom. We're literally just vibing with some chill hip hop beats, watching some bad people cut up some worse people. I think it's a better show. It's more entertaining to sit and just throw on than something like Bebop,
Right.
where you sit and throw it on, and then you see like, a double suicide with Spike Frog at the end, and it's like, yeah, that was all right. Time to go outside.
But right, like
Yeah, like
Champloo is
yeah.
very much a more vibes based show.
Yeah,
It is
I
very
get to
much-
see the
most of
sword
the time.
fights. Oh my god, like it's good. It's such a clean watch. So history wise, I don't know this guy, the creator. I don't know all of his work off the top of my head, but seeing the Bebop movie, and then watching this, I like this direction. I really like this direction, and I hope his other stuff kind of starts leaning this way too.
Yeah, like as far as like easygoing, stuff goes, like I've just started Space Dandy, and Space Dandy is even more easygoing than all of this.
Right.
So,
as
you
a
know.
like a show to turn on as if you were just like throw on Family Guy, throw on South Park, throw on Space Dandy.
yeah, but yeah, like I can definitely see how like the formula for this show is a little more structured, and so it's it's a little bit easier to like just kind of like sit and like casually watch. I to me, I think that was kind of part of my beef with it, was that like
Exactly.
a lot of the
Whoa.
episodes kind of blend together and are like extremely similar to one another, like especially I feel like the way that it explores like kind of like the red light district stuff that's going on in this Edo period, which like of course like that's a big part of it, right? Is like a lot of these newer cities were getting a lot of their economies built up by these red light districts, because now like Japan has entered a peace period, so now there's all these like these samurai around who are like basically just like not doing anything and getting stipends from the government, and what are they supposed to do with their money? And I guess we'll just set up some brothels for them.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
That's what I
But, like-
noticed.
Yeah.
Putting it on. Sorry to interrupt, but just putting it on
No, yeah.
over the past 2 weeks, letting it play, just watching episodes, taking them in, breeze through one or two, go back and see them again. I don't know. I'm gonna let you. I want you to historian this for me. But is this like an Edo period thing, or is it just what the show's going for thematically, where everything is about money at all times? It's we need money to eat, we need money to
Yes.
sleep, we're going to die without money. I thought that was an interesting
Yes.
running through line between rice eating contest and stabbing pickpockets to death.
Yeah, that's a thing that carries over from Cowboy Bebop, is that every episode they're kind of like they start the episode at at like a monetary disadvantage, right? They're like, we need to scrape together some money for food, and like it's just this thing where it's like a lot of the tension of every single episode just comes from the fact that like they need to find the sustenance to survive.
Oh God,
you
how the
know.
fuck are we gonna pay rent? Which like
Yeah.
and a lot of Watanabe's stuff is very much just that. It's like, okay, how do I come like the instant plot contrivance is, oh motherfucker, how am I gonna pay rent this month? Or like, holy shit, I need to eat some dumplings now or I'm gonna starve.
Seeing
Yeah.
it in the feudal
and-
period makes it feel 50 times more intense than it does in something like Bebop, which is very weird.
But
Yeah,
like, I mean,
like-
even in Space Dandy, you get some of the same stuff, and like Carolyn Tuesday is very starving artist kind of thing. Like,
Yeah, like the thing is that like he is very interested in that like that gig worker economy, right? And like, but this is the most precarious it is at because, you know, with the Spaceship Dandy or the Bebop, it's like, you know, no matter what, there is a place to go to. These guys
Right.
are just bumming from house to hotel to house to hotel.
these
or whatever,
motherfuckers
just-
have one outfit, one sword,
yeah.
a piece, and actually, sorry, between the three of them, they have 3 pairs of clothes. They have 2 swords, and they have 1 mouse.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, they're always teetering on the edge of, you know, starvation or, you know, just like sleeping in the street or whatever, you know,
Which,
and like,
Another minor complaint. I would have loved to see a version of this with like 30-minute episodes, and the extra 10 minutes in every episode is literally just like compositions of the place that they're in. I want to see more vistas. I want to see more like countrysides. I want to see more like detailed village scenes because a lot of I know the conceit is we are traveling across Japan to find the samurai that smells like sunflowers, which they point this out in the show. Even sunflowers don't particularly smell like anything. They are not a flower that is known for casting a unique aroma. And we'll get into that when we start talking about the themes and the kind of like conceptual through lines later on. But I genuinely would have loved so much more if they leaned into just the vibes based shit and just had them walking and just the camera was out and I could see the mountains and I could see the seaside and I could see. And they do a good job of like the hustle and bustle of the cities, especially when they get into like bars or restaurants or whatever. There's always someone doing something. There's shit going on.
yeah, there's always a character or two who are just like, you know,
right. Somebody just stirring the pot.
Yeah, I love the episode where they go into the fucking the restaurant and then, you know, somebody starts hitting on Fu and then the guys get jealous, so they, you know, they start hitting on this other girl and then she gets jealous and it's like, you know, that's great character interaction, but yeah, like you were saying, like I think, you know, like, and part of this is that, like, you know, this show is created in Japan for primarily a Japanese audience, and there might be a lot of implicit understanding of this time period and locations that we're not familiar with, and so that might leave us at a bit of a loss as far as, like, you know, getting a sense of the culture of these places, right?
Well,
But,
sure.
like,
And I do want to kind of counter that a little bit before we step away. You say it's a very Japanese show made for a Japanese audience, which, like, I mean, it's an anime. I can't disagree with you entirely on that, but it is important to take into consideration the like massive amount of legwork that is going into incorporating like hip hop and breakdancing and streetwear and graffiti and like very modern American, modern like urban culture kind of and by urban I mean like metro city kind of like cultures and environments that breathe from that showing up in this Edo Japan, like Edo period Japan feudalism. Like it's so weird how well it just works.
Yeah, I really like the stylistic choices of getting this lo-fi hip hop chill rap style, put it on top of this weird feudal Japan time period, post samurai ish, and then just letting it ride out with that like aimless. Every week, every episode's like a different whatever, just a different encounter or little adventure. I like that aimlessness, and I like how it was always tight. You never saw a grand vista, because it was like episode to episode. It just feels like, okay, we're still on the road. We're still on the road. And then literally the characters look at each other and they're like, what are we doing? And they're like, we're walking north. And it's like, that's it. That's all we're doing is just walking north with some Ninja Jubals beats. And I think that worked really well, and definitely not looking at any data I have pulled up off of the screen here. But it seems to work out, because from my sources, the show popped off maybe more than Bebop even did in the States. If you want to get into that little nugget of the late night television block that may have helped it.
Toonami, baby.
Oh yeah.
Give me your little Toonami deep dive, Clayton. Let's hear it. Let's see your little Toonami deep dive.
So I was like a preteen, and I would stay up late on Saturdays, Fridays and Saturdays.
Yes, one does.
And there was this little show that came on, and then it went off the air. But then it came back again, where this guy was putting on cartoons, and I would watch it, and it was really good. And let's see, my sources say millions of other people watched it too.
Yeah, you go from Aqua Teen Hunger Force to Boondocks to Samurai Champloo, and it's like...
So, in the early days of this little programming block, this show in particular was one of the, like, 3 or 4 that really seemed to have exploded. And I think those Western influences probably... That little chip they put in, probably... I think it paid off the way they wanted it to.
Yeah, like, I mean... You know, the thing about it is that, like, you know, Cowboy Bebop was, I think, it was in that, like, literally, like, the day one Adult Swim programming.
Yes.
Right? Like, the first day they started doing Adult Swim, they had Cowboy Bebop on there.
Right. And they were running it concurrently, like, or, well, not concurrently. They were running it as quickly as they could produce an American dub, which just so happened to coincide with 9/11 at some point, which is why the show got delayed and canned in the United States for a minute.
Yeah, like, I think they didn't show, like, 4 of the episodes because of, you know, like, terrorism-related stuff. But, like, you know, which, like, it's funny to think that, like, it took a very long time for Cowboy Bebop to actually get, you know, syndicated and released in either Japan or the United States in its entirety. Yeah. Because, like, you know, they had issues airing it broadcasted in Japan just due to the violence of it, and then when it came to the States it's 9/11. But, like, anyways, like, yeah, like you were saying, like, they, you know, now that Adult Swim, and particularly Toonami, has kind of, like, grown a little bit in stature by the time the show is coming out, Samurai Champloo probably comes in at a really good time for, you know, just to, like, be exposed to that audience, right? You know, and you know, Samurai Champloo probably also then, like, you know, people are like, oh yeah, you know, you like Samurai Champloo? Well, there's this other show they made first, and then, you know, and so,
you like Demon Souls? Why don't you go check out Kingsfield?
Yeah, but, like, you know, it all kind of, like, rolls together and, like, influences influences the way that, like, the shows kind of, like, are popular. You know, like, all that stuff is really important, but, like, you know, to get to what we were talking about earlier with the kind of, like, the stylistic influences and everything, like, I think that's something that I glommed onto the show and I thought was interesting, and I wish they did a little bit more with, was, like, this idea that, like, the culture of the past is not so different from our current culture, right? And how everything is being influenced and re-influenced by past and present, right? Like, you know, not to flex, but, you know, I just got back from Europe, and having seen a lot of, like, you know, a lot of art museums and stuff, and like if you look at some of the impressionist stuff from like the 1800s, a lot of that was being influenced by this particular era of Japanese art, right? Which they delve into in a few of the episodes.
You're referencing
you know?
the one episode where the creepy guy was the influence for Van Gogh.
Yeah, exactly. But like I went to the museum and they were literally just spelling it out like black and white on the text next to the paintings. It was like, yeah, and you can see in the compositions of these paintings and the way that they stylize the characters that there's they're drawing parallels from this older Japanese art style, that was coming out around a similar time. And like, I wish that was more influential to like more of the text of the show, but like it comes around in a couple of episodes. In particular, the graffiti one I think is really cool.
Right.
Where it's like, yeah, of course people have been painting on buildings forever.
Mugen, my fucking illiterate king. And then he learns how to read and write and becomes infinite.
So true. So true.
One of the best episodes of this show. I kind of want to tag along on that for a second because you were saying about how that's kind of secondary to the actual structure and text of the show, right? So like it's great framing. I love it. It's incredible. It's why I love the vibes of this show so much. But I think a lot of the text in this show it's very much more, whereas like, I know we keep jumping back to Bebop, but that's going to be our touchstone for like the next several episodes, guys. So like, hang in there.
Yeah.
With Bebop, it's very much stories of like loss and compromise and learning to interact with, people around you and things like that. Whereas Champloo is every single episode is entirely focused on some interpretation of some concept of death. At some point. It may not be the entire thing for the episode, but overwhelmingly, like, these episodes are about dealing with death and dealing with kind of philosophies for life, almost. Like, you see a lot of different people expressing their reason for going on, their reason for still being alive. We have so many scenes where characters are like, oh, I don't know if I have the will to go on anymore, or I was in a point where I didn't know if I had the will to go on anymore, and then I found painting, and that guy's weird in and of himself, but like but, you know, and it's and
or I found Jesus, or
and they bring,
or I started a cult where everybody's mining.
Which again, that's so fucking crazy because the historicism of it is so interesting because they pull a lot of things into it because of the time period that you don't really necessarily associate with samurai stories, but like are entirely plausible, right? Like, the influence of Christianity in Japan was actually starting to happen around this time period. Yeah. And it has some really interesting real-world implications. The stories they tell about it in the show are goofy. But, the whole show is goofy, so, like, I can't can it too much for that.
And they're still kind of, really. Yeah, and they're still kind of, like, based in the realities of what they're dealing with, right? Like, I kind of like the balance that the show strikes with those kind of themes, where it's like, it's definitely not ignoring, like, the religious persecution that the Christians of the time were dealing with as as Japan kind of tried to strive towards like a nationalistic sense.
Right.
But it also like doesn't sweep under the rug that like it also created a lot of room for opportunists to do to manipulate people's faith in bad ways, right?
Right.
Like it's very subtle in that way, and it doesn't like denigrate any side of it. It just kind of like shows it all, right?
Right.
I appreciate the lighthearted presentation of it all. Like one of my favorite episodes was the white dude from Holland they're forced to give the
Oh,
tour of
yeah.
Japan to. I love it. It's realistically, yes, it would be like a heavy subject matter. Historically, it is. But like the way it's done in the show in that episode, it's so funny, and the way they hit a lot of those big issues that way throughout. Just it's like
Yeah.
it's good. Just flop
they-
on the couch TV.
They do interesting stuff with it too. Like in the English dub, the Norwegian guy speaks Japanese a lot. Like actually, just the audio track is Japanese and it's subtitled in the English dub. Oh, I had something and I lost it. Oh no. I'll come back.
He
to
said
it,
the
I'm
thing
sure.
I say all the time.
I just had to stomp in there. My bad.
No, you're so good.
Yeah, you're good.
Can
Let's
I
talk
can
about
I
like
jump? Can I jump onto
Sorry.
the whole little mini thing? Just a statement
fuck
I
it,
want to get
let's
out
go.
there, get some responses from.
Sure.
I know Josh will cringe when I say Bebop again, but
No.
why? And I know this is normal, this is anime, but like, why is Steve Bloom doing every character? Like, he's every lead character. The minute the show started and I heard him, like, after the girl, our real main character, is introduced, I was like, oh my god, it's just like, I was like, I hear Spike. It's a different character, different personality, but I just hear Spike. Steve Bloom is Spike.
Exactly. Well, and that's fucking insane. Imagine watching Toonami and hearing Steve Bloom as Toonami Tom, Steve Bloom as Spike Spiegel, Steve Bloom as Toonami Tom again, and then Steve Bloom as Mugen.
Exactly. It's insane. It was so weird.
And
Especially
then you hit
just
the
from
real
the
late
same
night
creative
block and
team
you
too.
hear fucking you hear Yuri Lowenthal as
Yeah, he's another one. I'm getting tired of him too. No more Yuri. Get rid of him. Get rid of Steve Bloom. I can't. It's everywhere.
Yeah, just keep Yuri in the Spidey suit, you know, like just keep him there, you know, just let him sit, keep him in the booth, Insomniac, okay?
keep him in the booth.
You know,
Insomniac.
like
No,
you know,
Insomniac.
get a nice bed
Stop
in there,
doing
build a
Spider-Man
kitchen,
games.
you
Insomniac,
know.
please, you have to listen to me. Do another original IP, Insomniac, please.
Wait, but the show. Also
the show.
the dub, the English dub, it has a ton of praise online. Y'all told me dub was fine when I was deciding to watch it.
Yeah.
The dub is a little busted. It is a little
dub's
busted. I don't know
busted?
why it gets praised. Like Bebop, pretty great dub. Champloo has it's good voice acting, but
Sure.
the editing and the line placements are a bit jank. Like some of the words they're saying are jank. Where
Yeah, like-
it'll be like a hard translation. They don't Americanize it. They just hard translate it. So I'm trying to remember. There's a scene where Fu's talking to a mother after her delinquent son gets killed at the end of an episode, and she's like I'm sorry, Trevor died. He was a great kid. I know you raised him very well with respect. And it's like that's such a direct Japanese to English translated line, and they just read it off really quick, and it's in there, and it's weird. And
Yeah,
it's they could have edited a lot of the dialogue to kind of fit the feelings and language of English a bit better in that dub. And it's weird I
Yeah,
saw it have so much praise.
Yeah, it's not a great dub. It's pretty good. Like you said, the voice acting is, you know, is pretty great on its own, but the writing is kind of where it falters a little bit. You know, it's weird to me because it's Cowboy Bebop has one of the most celebrated dubs of all time. Even at the time of its release, it was considered above par for, you know, the medium. And my question is why didn't they just get the entire crew who did the Cowboy Bebop dub and just make them do this one?
I mean, hey, they got Steve Bloom. That was probably
They got the
40%
one
of the
guy.
budget.
They got the one guy and they got a few cameos from Bo Billingsley and Wendy Lee, but
Right.
but they didn't get the director or the writers or anything else. And it's just they did such a good job the first time. Why didn't you just you know.
So, are y'all familiar with Bang Zoom Entertainment at all? Because that's who's listed
No.
as the people who handled
Nope.
the dub for this.
Not at all. Not at all.
Are
Good.
you
I don't know
familiar
who
with
they are
Bang
either.
Zoom?
Okay. We should probably get into the plot, like the overarching plot, and like the three main characters, right? Because like, you know, while it is pretty loose, there's some stuff that happens there that needs to, you know, that probably ought to be discussed, right? Like, you know, like, I think that as a premise, there's kind of a way to make it work a little bit better than they do. I think that it's like there's kind of an oddness to it where it's like I get by the end that Fu is like she kind of relies on these two strangers just out of necessity, but like it takes a long time for you to actually get her motivations for it. So you spend 3/4, if not more, of the show just being like, why are you so dead set on these two people being your guides through the country, right?
Right.
Like,
They seem to, and she creates enough problems for herself on her own, but they seem to do a fucking lion's share of just like entropy generation around her. You know, it's just like let's get
It's a
the
lot of
two
fun.
unluckiest guys to just bumblefuck it through the countryside and hope that we run into no more problems.
It is a lot of fun that she is the main character. Like, she propels almost every plot, every episode. She's the thing that kicks it off.
She's the fucking voice of reason, dude.
yeah.
The 15-year-old girl is the voice of reason, which, like, you know, she does shit that a 15-year-old girl would do. Not entirely reasonable. All of us were fucking stupid at 15, but
Yeah.
she is the one that is preventing multiple deaths a day.
Yeah. Like, she is a really strong, like, you know, like you said, she's basically the protagonist of the show, but she's really strong, asterisk. And that asterisk being that, like, you know, every other episode she gets fucking kidnapped. Which is very disappointing. And, like, I get it. Like, you know, the show is a period piece, and at the time, like, you know, women just didn't have, like, the leeway culturally to defend themselves in the way that, like, you know, like, and it just makes sense that Fu would not be, like, a trade, you know, like, in combat or anything, but, like, she rarely, if ever, puts up a fight.
Well, but it is also just the basic format, having, you know, two guardians, one girl, so it's like, you know, it's the direction it was intended, and I think it's a lot of fun that way, because she has enough going on with, like, her halves of the plots where she always feels active. She never feels like a weak female character.
I think you're pulling on that again. I think, like, despite the fact that she is literally always getting kidnapped, she shows a surprising amount of agency throughout the overarching story. I feel like I mean, like, most of her strongest moments, and there are, like, several throughout the show of her, like, just standing up for herself, or you know, and sometimes it is causing the problem in the episode, but, like, insisting that something be done about XYZ problem, you know.
Yeah.
But, like, again, she is the protagonist in that she is, like, she is directing this troop. She is like, we are going to find the samurai that smells like sunflowers, and anything that happens between now and then is entirely outside of the objective unless directly specified.
Yeah, and that's where, like, as I keep reiterating, where my favorite aspect of the whole series is that that entire middle part is like 99% of it, and it's all just nonsense. It's all just wacky nonsense, and then after a while they literally stop at a campfire and are like, oh, we passed our objective, let's turn around, and then the show ends, they just go, oh, this is the guy. and then we wrap up. I kind of love it. Josh, why do you not love it?
I mean, I just think that, like, I'm going to try not to just compare this to Bebop and say it's not Bebop, so it's worse. I'm trying not to do that, but, like...
It's hard to not do that, because I'm in the same boat. It's not Bebop, so it's worse. Which is why I have to look at it as a completely different thing. It's a vibes show.
Well, that's where Steve Blum's voice messes with me, because I like have these things completely disconnected, but occasionally there'll be a certain scene or just like a way he will do a line, and I'm like, that's Spike Spiegel right there. I hear him.
He says bitch too much. I think he says bitch way too much for it to be Spike Spiegel. That's the only differentiator.
Yeah, like, you know, Spike Spiegel would never call somebody a bitch. He's, he's not like, he's not Mr. Women Respecter, Mr. Perfect, but like, he doesn't say the B word. So, but like, to me, it's just like, so one of the things that's really strong about Cowboy Bebop, in my opinion, is that like, it's able to like, interweave into every single episode some kind of new development about the main characters, right? Like, we learn something about their past, or we have some kind of new relationship that shows a different facet of their personality. And like, I feel like a lot of the episodes in this show struggle a little bit with that, where it feels like we are not getting these new sides of them that we would want to see, that kind of like keep me hooked into the show. It happens every once in a while, but like, generally speaking, like, Fu is gonna be doing some kind of like altruistic, if naive shit, like Gene is going to be, the stoic Ronin who is like barely going to say anything. And Muga's just going to be like, fuck you all the time. Yeah. You rarely ever get to see any facet of their personality that kind of like deepens them.
This
as
is
characters.
A 26 episode show. 6 of those episodes are plot.
Basically, yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing, right? There's
the first one at the beginning, episodes and the last 3 episodes.
No, it's the one at the beginning. There's 2 in the middle where this is what I was going to talk about earlier. Since this is you get a few more of those bits of like very weirdly accurate like time period historicism, where this is like just after the unification of like Japan as a whole. And so you've got like Okinawans and oh my god, the island that Mugen is from. I'm blanking.
I'm leaving you on the hook for this one.
But
unbelievable. 1 stars. 1 star on the podcast.
Oh, he forgot the name of the island. But so. And the 2 episodes in the middle where Mugen's brother shows up. Not brother. Fucking...
Just like Mugen's like old friend who like they used to do like fucking pirate raids with.
Right.
Like and that's kind of a neat episode, but like
But like
I don't
that
know if
to
it,
me
like,
felt kind of more like in line with what Bebop was doing every fucking episode.
Yeah. Like, which that's kind of the thing where it's just like, I don't connect as much with these characters because I feel like by the 3rd or 4th episode, I know everything that there is to know about them pretty much. And
literally until the last 3 episodes.
Yeah, and like the show like doesn't interrogate their personalities that much, right? Like, and
it doesn't really leave the space for you to interrogate them on your own. It's like it's not leaving any threads for you to pull. It's not asking any questions, and it's not really creating the space for you to ask them literally until the episode where they ask the question and then answer it, unless it's a 2-parter and then they answer it next episode.
See, but there's sometimes there's joy and peace in being able to go pick up your 6-piece California roll set, and then sit down, have the warm air come in from the outside of whatever door you've left open, and just watch some Champloo live or die by the way of the samurai while you eat a little bit of sushi. And you don't have to think too hard. You don't have to be concerned about Spike Spiegel's dead wife or like whatever the other people were doing, the kid and her issue. You don't have to worry about any of that. You just put on Champloo and you watch your favorite throuple fist fight and scream at each other until someone gets arrested or taken hostage, you know?
Vibes-based show. Live or die, it's the way of the samurai.
Yeah. And a good chunk of the episodes have, like, really fun premises. Like, I love the one where, like, you know, they all get captured and then it's like, oh, I've got this errand I need to do. Hey, you, Mugen, you go over here and do the errand and we won't fucking crucify you guys. How does that sound? And I just love that episode where he goes off and gets fucking waylaid in this fucking side plot, and then they're just like waiting by the sunset like, please come. Please come back.
I love that too. They're like, he's coming back. That's him. That's not him.
Back.
He didn't come back.
And they're literally like pinned up to the crosses before he gets.
I love that too. Yeah, a lot of the plot gags like that, they won't resolve exactly in the traditional way you expect. It'll get there, but there's always like at least one extra little hiccup or hook that's 9 times out of 10 character motivated, where it's really funny and it's like, yep, Mugen definitely got lost in the woods. He's not coming back.
Yep. Yep. Not only did he get lost in the woods, he fucking set the opium fields ablaze. And he's just fucking hanging with the fucking cultists or whatever. What's going on there?
They fucking JoJo's reference the fake Catholic priest. Jesus!
But I do love though within all of the little disconnected character adventures between our last 3 plot is I just love the depth these shallow characters have. Just the depth of their personalities and the comparisons of them, having like Mugen on one side, Jin on the other, and Fu in the middle. It is literally like a weird yin and yang thing happening between the two samurai. Or I guess Ronin, technically. One's a Ronin, one's just a crazy guy, but...
But yeah, like, they both definitely, like, you know, so, like, the thing that's kind of interesting from my admittedly very, like, minimal research into the Edo period, thank you, John Green and Crash Course.
Let's go, John Green!
But
you pissed that cancer.
That was Hank Green.
Fuck, let's go, Hank!
But from my limited understanding, it's like part of the thing is just that like the samurai age was kind of coming to a soft end here, right? Where it's like, you know, now that we're no longer in war and now that we're kind of unifying Japan, it's like, well, do we really need all of these warriors? And like that's addressed textually in the show, right? Where like part of Gene's backstory is that he's like, you know, he's this guy who like kind of like was trained up just as this generation of samurai was coming to an end, and you know there's just no place for people with his skill set anymore. You know,
the same thing literally actually in real life just happened with ninjas. The last living ninja has not chosen an heir.
Oh no, goddamn. I didn't know that was like actually a thing, that it was like folder. A fucking like that there's like an air of ninjas. Like
let me check my spam folder.
Guys, I got some bad news.
That's crazy.
But yeah, like, you know, just like that whole side of things where it's like, you know, but like they're kind of like they treat Jean and Mugen as like this kind of dichotomy within that warrior spirit, where it's like, you know, Jean is so tangled up in the need to be driven by like a defined purpose, I guess.
Right.
You know, and something that's kind of altruistic, that like, you know, that he has it all knotted up inside of him, whereas Mugen is just like, I don't fucking care, you know, I want what I want, and I'm going to use my sword to get what I want, you know, if I have to. It's that sort of shit where it's just like, you know, we're kind of exploring a little bit of the dichotomy of that the warrior kind of thing at the time, right? You know, am I making sense?
Yeah. No, I'm picking. I'm smelling what you're stepping in.
The trained stoic noble and the young reckless degenerate, and soon you will see them come to battle. In 25 more episodes, you'll see them come to battle, and it will be epic.
Oh yeah, it was definitely so epic.
They drop the fight scenes in this show, incredible. The animation, fucking nutty. They drop some incredible banger lines for the revolution. If living means bowing to the likes of you bastards, I'd rather die on my feet with my head held high. Motherfucker. Vibes based show. Vibes through the roof. And literally, it's the whole point. Like, I love Samurai Champloo. I know I kind of like buried the lead that I was like, I don't like Samurai Champloo as much as I like fucking Cowboy Bebop. The journey is literally the entire point. It is about finding purpose in life, and the answer of the show to what is the purpose of life. The answer is it's the fucking journey and the friends and the people you meet and the way you live your life.
The Samurai Champloo was the friends we made along the way.
It is.
The glasses stay on until you realize that.
Yeah. So Samurai Champloo can end that way, and everybody's cool with it, but Game of Thrones can't end that way. Damn shame.
Game of Thrones hasn't ended yet, Josh. I don't know what you're talking about.
Wasn't? No, I'm on the other side. Wasn't that like a decade ago? Can we move on?
I haven't read the books or watched the show.
Game of Thrones, for me, Game of Thrones, and I don't know, Star Wars sequels or something. All that stuff got put in its little shoebox, like an old dead pet when you're a kid, and they got buried in the backyard. You know, yeah. I've moved on to greener pastures now.
Right next to the MCU box.
Well, that grave is like half dug still, and like it's kind of opened, and it's weird.
Yeah, that one's like the zombie episode from Samurai Champloo.
It's like the zombie episode from the MCU.
I refuse to watch Thunderbirds because I hear a very vocal minority every fucking time a Marvel movie comes out say, "No, guys, this one's actually gas." And so I'm not buying the hype.
Thunderbirds is a movie directed by Captain Riker from Star Trek TNG. It came out in somewhere between 2004 and 2007, the same range that Samurai Champloo was releasing.
Wait, Thunderbirds? No. What's the new Avengers shit?
I'm not telling you. It's Thunderbirds now. Keep putting up pictures of the Thunderbirds movie. I'm pretty sure I have this right. I hope I'm not messing up this bit.
I would much rather watch a movie called Thunderbirds starring Florence Pugh and Sebastian
2004 Thunderbirds.
Where they're just like riding around in a Thunderbird. You know?
Jeff Tracy, played by Bill Paxton, runs an international
I think
rescue.
I'm thinking of a whole different movie. I think there's two different ones here.
There's a 1942 war romance movie called Thunderbirds.
Wait. Oh no, you might have to cut this out so I don't look stupid. Cut this out so I don't look like a fucking idiot.
No, we all look dumb because I've called the fucking Marvel movie Thunderbirds.
No, I'm right. Thunderbirds by Jonathan Frakes, Captain
That's
Riker.
literally what I was just talking about, Clayton.
Yeah, that one. Let's get that on screen. Is Jonathan Frakes in Samurai Champloo? Does he play the old
Probably.
man? Any of them?
I think he's one of the twins that do the graffiti fight because they don't know how to punch each other.
Yeah. Anyways, any last thoughts on Samurai Champloo? I don't really have any. It's
Can I
for me, it's
request
just
this
good.
be y'all's only episode of
thumb
like the
up. Thumb
podcast
up.
that has lo-fi hip hop beats like as an undercurrent track under most of it?
Is that royalty free
Yeah.
for YouTube videos? If so, then yes.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
just
for
need
sure.
to,
Yeah, we
we're
just
gonna
like
have
Samurai
the fucking,
Champloo.
there's gonna be the three of us in each corner, and then the fourth corner is going to be the lo-fi anime
The
girl
lo-fi
just
hip hop
sitting there.
girl, yeah.
Yeah, you know. Still working on her fucking notes like 10 years later. Like, I don't know.
Bro, what class is she studying for?
Yeah. All right. But yeah, any final thoughts on the show?
I feel like I said my piece.
Yeah.
So, here's the thing though. Corporate wants you to go like another 5 minutes. So we're gonna have to talk about. I don't know. We're gonna have to talk about something
Actually, I wanted to bring this up early in the show, but then we actually got onto this stupid thing called Samurai Champloo for like 50 minutes. So, I wasn't able to get to it, but
That's so fucked.
But Brogan, if you turn around and kind of look around behind you, there is a brown plastic bag with some goodies.
What
in
the
it.
fuck?
You might want to investigate that for a second. Oh, do you
You
have
broke
the
into my
bag?
home. You broke into my home.
I broke into his home. I left some shit from Europe, as I mentioned. I did go to Europe, and I bought some things.
the Anarchist
that is-
Cookbook.
That's
For audio
That-
listeners, it's not the Anarchist Cookbook. It's Volume 1 of Diamond is Unbreakable.
Yes,
So-
in
Oh my
German.
god.
in German.
In German! Fuck! I'm gonna have to learn German now.
Yeah. Yeah. So there was that.
Oh my god. Okay. We've set the tone. We've set the tone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh!
Okay.
What
What's
language
that
is
one?
Jojoli involved? Is this Spanish?
Oh wait, that's the Jojolian.
Yes, I pulled out.
That's an
Jojolian.
Italian.
That's an
That's Italian. Yeah.
What the fuck?
They got Jojolian before we got Steel Ball Run, so that's insane.
Yeah, we're nowhere near having English published Jojolian. This is fucking. How do the Italians have this?
Yeah, that was crazy. Like I went up to the guy and I was just talking to him about it, and he was like, "Yeah, there is an English version." And I'm like, "No, there's not. We're getting Steel Ball Run like this year."
We have digital English scanlations that fans have made.
Yeah,
We're getting Steel Ball Run, I think, at the end of this month.
I think they've already released the first issue of this.
Oh no,
or the
that's
first
true. That's
Takamon
true.
At this point.
The first,
Yeah.
Have they? I looked at it on Amazon. I
think
thought
they
it was
have.
still on pre-orders right now.
Well, they would probably release it
you might know
faster
better
in
than I do,
America
but
if the Americans looked like JoJo characters the same way some Italians will look like a real life JoJo character.
yeah, and then of course I have the obvious one, which is I got you one issue of Vento Reo in
Golden
Italian.
Wind in Italian. Dope, dude.
I was not able to
Holy
find the one
shit.
that had San Giorgio Cathedral in it. Which, takes place in Venice where I was at.
Right.
So that would have been kind of cool to get, but they didn't have it. So I just got you the one where they shrink Naranja.
Itty bitty guy. He fights the fucking rat.
Yeah. Yeah, and then
Or the
I did
spider.
also get myself Dungeon Food Volume 3.
Dungeon food. Where'd you pick that one
Yeah.
up from?
Same place as in the place in Italy.
Italian dungeon food.
This one, I think, in the last chapter in here, they make like a squid pasta or something. So,
Ooh.
yeah.
This is crazy because
Yeah.
I've looked at a lot of JoJo's art. I've looked at a lot of officials JoJo's art.
Mm-hmm.
I have never seen. First of all, I've never seen a manga that comes in dust cover form like this.
Yeah.
This is fucking crazy to me.
That did surprise me, yeah.
But I've also, I mean, obviously that's just a colorized panel, but I've never seen a volume of JoJo printed like this. This is crazy.
Yeah, like it's and it wasn't all that expensive either, right? It was
Holy
around
shit,
the same.
Josh.
It was around the same ballpark range that you would get a Takabon for here.
Thank
So.
you, dude. That's fucking crazy. Fucking
It's no problem, and
physically holding JoJolian,
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. I would have also gotten you fucking Rohan at the Louvre, but
Ooh.
I did not get to the Louvre gift shop in time.
Do they sell it there? They have to.
I heard on Reddit that they did, but I wasn't able to get in there and confirm. So
Fair enough. Did you do wait, Josh, you may be the last official source on this ever. I don't know if they've already discontinued this program before you got out there. Did you ask about the Louvre 3DS tour?
I actually didn't go into the Louvre at all because, they say that it's made for like 5 million people to go through every year, and they double that capacity every day. So it's like, I was like, okay, I don't really need to like get 15 seconds glance at the Mona Lisa that bad.
Well,
I'd
no,
rather
but
go
what-
to the D'Orsay, which is across the river and has a lot of nice stuff too. And
Yeah,
that was
but
nice
no.
and
But
fun.
Josh. The D'Orsay doesn't have guided tours where you get to listen to Shigeru Miyamoto and Mr. Iwata tell you about the Mona Lisa for 15 seconds.
That's
On
true.
a
That's very
3DS,
true.
on a bespoke Louvre 3DS.
You could have looked at a 3.4-inch 3D image of the Mona Lisa standing 15 feet from the real one, never having to look
You're-
up.
And then she
You're
would have
right,
stood up and then like poked out of the screen at you and slapped you in the face.
She would have reached out, grabbed you by your shirt collar, and said, "Are you subscribed to Nintendo Switch Online?" and then let you go.
She would say, "If you don't subscribe to Nintendo Switch Online, I'm not subscribing to How to Otaku podcast."
All right, I'm sorry, Mona Lisa. I will I'll rectify that next time.
I think you have to go back. They're canceling the program soon. You're gonna have to go back now.
Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah, no, the
Damn.
3DS thing is like, if it's not literally already done, it's dying very soon.
We just booked your
Shit.
return flight, Josh, so we're gonna need you to get to the Atlanta airport in like 8 hours.
Corporate got you a return trip. Let's go. Oh, that means I have to go back to Atlanta.
Oh no! Man, Atlanta Airport fucking sucks right now. Don't go through there if you don't have to.
Bro. Apparently, something happened. I have no idea
Yeah.
what that was, but there was like a wide scale failure at the Atlanta
Yes,
airport.
they've been having a lot of issues with their air traffic control lately, which is
Well.
why I spent 16 hours in Boston Airport like
So-
3 days ago.
I don't know what the current issue is, but a few months ago, the initial incident that happened was a Windows update killed. That was like a few months ago. The big one was literally a Windows update took out like half of the Eastern Seaboard's air traffic controllers, which was pretty nice.
Oh.
Literally Windows
crazy.
going, "Hey, ding, update." It just took out half the Eastern Seaboard, and since then places have been having issues.
I think,
That's
I
all
think the
that's
solution
true.
should be that. Yeah, I think the solution should be that we just replace all the Windows machines with Grok.
I thought you were gonna say Ubuntu, and I would be like, yeah, no, that'd probably be fine. Grok. Well, Grok is kind of based until they literally force coded into Grok. Every single time anybody asks you any question about anything, also mention South Africa.
Hey guys, I want to just throw a little fun fact in here because I saw a lot of Jotaro appearing, and it seems to be a thing that's
Jotaro.
infested every aspect of your lives, anime culture, and your show, from what corporates told me. And I just want to interject this little fun fact. Sorry to get off topic, but did you know that company that did the American dubbing for the television show Samurai Champloo, they actually did the dubbing for... I had it pull... Okay, hold on. Just edit this. Edit this real quick. I have to pull it back up. I completely lost my fucking place.
I get to use the record scratch for the first time in the episode right here.
Hold on.
Yeah,
You're going to have to edit this. Hold on. I'm going to redo this line. Where the fuck did it go? You know what? It doesn't matter.
We're not cutting any of this.
Fine, it's fine. I was just gonna say their name, but I fucking lost it. The company that did the dubbing for Samurai Champloo also
Bang Zoom.
did the dubbing for like 3 different JoJo Bizarre Adventure series. I would tell you which ones if I didn't lose my information, but it was there. It was in the document.
That would be an excellent segue to Simply Safe sponsorship if we had one. Simply Safe.
Let's see. They did
Blue Chew. Let's talk about Blue Chew tablets and how they'll help your performance in bed.
Oh, they've done all of the David production dubbing.
Oh, cool.
All of it. They did they did parts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
So,
I don't know. Y'all would have more insight on if like there's a cool production thing there, but I thought that was an interesting little fun fact. And if you want to get just as hard as Jotaro, eat a Blue Chew tablet using code Otaku Josh.
I do not. I do not use or endorse any particular pharmaceutical products. My dick gets hard the normal way. Thank you.
From looking at Sonic the Hedgehog's feet.
And if you want proof of that, check out our Blue Sky.
Wait. Oh no! What have I done?
at howtootaku.com. You can also check out our TikTok at howtootakupod.
Oh shit, guys, on YouTube. Look, it's right there.
And our YouTube. It's right there, or at youtube.com/howtootakupod, I assume. Or just look it up. How to Otaku Anime Podcast on YouTube. Yeah, just
locations.
if you like the episode, feel free to like, share, subscribe, comments. You can leave comments on Spotify now, so like
you can leave comments on Spotify now.
Yeah, so just share your thoughts on the show. And yeah, I think that's all the plugging we got to do. But we got
Patreon.
We've done Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo, and next week we're doing Space Dandy.
Yes.
This episode came out a week late, but we're going to catch up and get Space Dandy done right away. And then 2 weeks from then we have Terror and Resonance, and then 2 weeks later Carol and Tuesday, then 2 weeks later Lazarus. No, we have Lazarus.
Yeah, and that's what I meant. Back to normal schedule.
Oh yeah, right. Back to normal.
The 2 week schedule.
Yes.
Yeah. We're on the
And
same
you may get a new couch, but no promises.
Yeah. I'm getting in touch with the first lady or with the second lady to see if they have any recommendations for couches.
I have it on good authority. They'll be able to help you out.
Yeah.
I was a little slow on the uptake with that one, but that was clever.
Yeah. Thank you.
If you've made it all the way until the end, Patreon's $1.
Oh Oh yeah, Patreon is $1, and we've got bonus episodes on Thus Spoke Kishibe Rohan. We've got one on Howl's Moving Castle, which you should check out. And this month, on June 1st, we are covering a lot of the like ancillary stuff in Watanabe's career, in particular Cowboy Bebop the movie, his segments in the Animatrix, and Genius Party, right? That segment as well. And then like I think he's done a short film or two. One of them was a Blade Runner thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're just checking out all that stuff. We're probably gonna spend no more than 20 minutes a piece on any given one of them. But
But if you want to
if
hear
you just
want to
check out all that stuff, yeah, and we might be moving to a 1 episode a month thing on there, just to kind of like keep filling stuff out on there, But it's $1 a month,
It's $1 a month?
Literally $1.
$1.
And for
$1.
free, you can find me
I am
all over the internet. For free, you can find me
find him
and all sorts of content of me all over the internet. Usually under the username Clayton E. Franklin. If you type it into anything, normally I come up. You can see me unmeasured, unhinged, usually crashing out if it's something I upload. Only the cream of the crop, top of the line.
Yeah, and if you want everything else, you're going to have to get the really big fucking computer that Lane has. In Serial Experiments Lane. That's how you access the entirety of Clayton through what was that thing called? The Wire?
The Wire.
The Wire? Okay.
If you can get the computer password off of the second episode of Code Lyoko and you find my website and put it in on the password screen on the homepage, landing page of the website, you'll get all my content.
Clayton actually isn't a real person. He's like an ARG that you have to unlock.
Don't look at the lip sync of this video too much is all I'm saying.
Listen, if you put the audio from this video into a oh god, what's the thing where they put the pentagrams in Doom? God, I want to see if I can do that with this episode now.
If you run my audio track backwards, it may glitch out your computer. It's just a bug. It's not indicative of anything.
Yeah. No, it's definitely not us trying to influence us into our little like rock mining cult,
Rock and Stone.
Rock and Stone. Anyways, that's all we got. Right? Until next time.
See you, Space Cowboy.
Live and die by the way of the samurai.
That's better. That's true.